He's modest as well, by the way. Really?
Really
You've been on Netflix, so
okay,
yeah.
All right.
That technically makes you a celebrity.
Well, it's very kind, I think. Yeah.
Who's kindly agreed to a brief informal interview about his devotion to science fiction and what inspired him to create his museum for the benefit of our YouTube viewers.
I'll just have a cough.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I shall start at the very beginning. Okay, Mr. Cole, question one.
I'm on camera now.
Yes, you're on camera, sir.
Hello.
What inspired you to create this wonderfully inspiring science fiction museum?
Very simple question. Straightforward question, sorry. Basically, 1975, Blackpool seafront. Came from a pretty modest upbringing. Didn't go on many holidays or anything, but my dad one week took me, basically going for a few pints at Blackpool. We stayed at a friend's flat.
I went there myself, actually.
Yeah, and basically, 75, got taken to Blackpool, and my dad loved sci-fi. He did get me into sci-fi.
Ah, that's awesome.
And he basically took me to the Doctor Who exhibition, which I knew we were going to, and it was a summer's day, Blackpool seafront, lovely. And then also there was the lights that year. 75,
Yes.
They had the giant robot, they had Zygot, they had
And there was the TARDIS entrance, I recall.
And then you saw the TARDIS on the street.
Yes.
And then suddenly you were in this
Iconic.
dark radiophonic world. And I'll be honest with you, it was just like fiction, reality blur. It was marvellous. And I remember as a 5-year-old,
You were only 5.
Yeah, it was pure magic. And then I did go back, I realised, having gone through my mum's diaries I found.
Right.
We went twice, and so I went the second year in 76. And that, I remember just thinking, I want to do this.
Aha.
And it's never left me. And then when I got to about 40, because I'm in my 50s now, when I got to 40, I actually thought, there's no way I'm ever going to do that.
Right.
But ultimately, the desire to do it, and I loved ghost trains and that kind of.
It was like your lifelong dream then?
It was a lifelong dream, yeah. Because I always wanted to be an artist. I just wanted to work as an artist, never do it, because I was so poor. Bottom line. Right. I had to work, I had to, I'm not saying that sounds terrible, I don't mean
struggling artist.
Yeah, it was that sort of thing. So I did anything from washing dishes to never actually became a teacher.
Right.
And that was the path. But then I was able to start buying a few drawings. I mean, I loved teaching. I loved sharing.
Yes.
I mean, I made Daleks with the children in school.
Very much so.
Clubs.
I remember
and
that.
It was very, very, very exciting, all that. But now, suddenly in my 50s, and I had a chance to get this house. But at the end of the day, the house was in a terrible condition. So it's been a big job. It wasn't like gifted to me on a plate.
As seen on Netflix, folks, by the way.
Yeah, and Netflix, bear in mind, guys, if you take the time to watch it. Two things to remember when you watch the Netflix show. First of all, male pattern baldness. Because you'll see me with long hair. And
that's right, I noticed that.
And now you will notice that now these mind-staggering effects of male pattern baldness have accrued.
I think you had a mullet. Practically.
No, I wasn't a mullet.
Maybe not as bad as a mullet.
No way. Don't do mullets. No.
Sorry.
And then the other thing is, it makes it sound like I was starting the day Netflix arrived.
Yes.
It wasn't. I'd done 2 years.
Looks spontaneous, yeah.
No, it really isn't. All of this was falling down. There was no ceiling. It was horrific.
Right.
That was all done over 2 years, and I was teaching full time with my children as well. And we all, various, family members were pitched in. And we made
Netflix editing was responsible for that then, basically.
Well, they said we'd opened as well, and I told them expressly to say no, because we were about a year off opening.
That's right.
It's like, it was very contrived.
I remember you seeing the work on it as well, actually.
We opened a tiny section. They didn't understand that I couldn't take 6 months off to finish the museum from teaching.
Right.
They just didn't understand. I said, can you not just take some time? No, you can't do that.
They'll have had deadlines, I imagine.
Yeah, in reality world, we have to actually earn and make a living and pay the mortgage, you know what I mean?
It's compromise then, presumably, between
So what we did was we disguised an area and filmed that. So
brilliant.
In a way, it's nothing like what it is now, which is far better.
Yeah, and it's misleading because it looked quite a lot larger actually on the TV as well.
This room was empty, that's why.
Right.
It was empty, and I've filled it.
You certainly have.
And I always wanted to do that Blackpool, going back to Blackpool exhibition.
I do get the Blackpool vibe, actually.
That's what I wanted.
Very much so.
A lot of the modern exhibitions now
Captured the
are
spirit of it.
open rooms where you see everything at once, and I just hate that.
Yours is more claustrophobic, but I think more dynamic as well.
Well, the thing is, it's tiny space, and people say, and you've even said, can you expand? You've actually said yourself, can you expand? The reality is, running a museum like this, a few people come and say, I can do that. It's like, yeah, of course you can. However, it's not a big money venture. So first of all, you've got to. I do loads of different things to help fund to keep the museum going. So, for example, subscribers I do drawings for, and I get so I do one of these, and then I write the magazine, which subscribers to for donating. There's a lot of work to keep this open, and one of the key things is you've got to keep your outgoings down. So I live above the music.
Labour of love?
Oh, total. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I don't do it for the money. I mean, I'm not earning.
Understandable.
I've just quit teaching after 28 years, and
Wow.
I've taken a drop in money, but I'm at a point in my life where I've got something tangible here.
Yes.
And I live across a lovely place called the Forge, and I work over there.
That is a lovely place.
And
to
basically,
visit there as well.
I do work with autistic young children, not young children, but young adults, who are autistic. I work
Very
hard.
inspiring, actually.
Well, and the thing is, this is a great place because I get children coming here, and it's a nice inspirational place.
Yes.
And the whole point was to share the collection, not just sit in a room and say, look, I've got to go online and go, well, I've got this today. That to me is not an interesting proposition. Yeah. It's to share it like you guys have come today. Yeah. It's nice to know.
To fellow fans as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just a fan doing something, hopefully.
A super fan,
yeah,
I think, to be
fair. A super
fair.
fan in terms that I've put a lot of time in. But then I think a lot of that's to do with sort of ADHD and
right.
focus.
Oh, you mentioned that in the Netflix film, actually.
Anyway, sorry, yes.
Yes, question two.
Question two.
It's only 4 more to go. What is your favourite museum prop and why? Well, that's not a tough question. Have I put you on the spot there?
So hard. Oh, man. I
should have rephrased that question.
My favourite Doctor Who story of all time is...
Is this related to the prop as well?
Yeah, I think basically... Okay. I now look at them as one story. I can't separate them, but I love the Ark in Space and the Sontaran.
That is a good one, yes.
And the Sontaran Experiment. I love how the Doctor...
That was Baker's like second and third, wasn't it?
I love the fact that at the end, unlike new Doctor Who, where everything's super contrived and complicated, it's not. The Doctor is leaving Nerva to try out...
And he broke his collarbone in real life, didn't he?
But he goes down to the planet's surface, and there's the Sontaran there, and it's the best Sontaran.
Yes.
Mean, nasty, not silly comedy Sontarans like we get now. Real nasty piece of work. And I just think, anyway, so the fact I've got anything from that era, so I've got an Ark in Space costume in there, and
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Dune's costume from Ark in Space,
and
also the Sontar, the Galsec rifle, which was also then reused by Callie. And it's
in Blake 7.
It's the gun she used in their opening episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're lovely. But then I've got a great soft spot for the Garm and for the Pteroleptil, which I spent...
I love the Pteroleptils.
Years.
Yes.
I 3 years restoring that costume.
Yeah. That was a brilliant Peter Davison episode.
It's fantastic. I agree.
I mentioned that in my earlier video, actually.
Yeah,
it takes place during the Great Fire of London, doesn't it?
That's great.
They're responsible for it. Thank you for that question. Question 3. Yes. What is your favourite classic Doctor Who episode and why? You might have answered that one, actually, in the previous question.
I think rather than story, I go by seasons. And I think my favourite season is season 12. Absolutely. I think it's a beautiful season. I think you've got the giant robot.
75.
75, yeah. And I just like the way you go, accidental trip to the moon, end up in the 30,000 years in the future.
That's right.
And they end up on Nerva Beacon. And I love the way that they have to.
I like the continuity of it.
Yeah, the continuity is brilliant in the way they've got to get back to Nerva.
Yes.
And I think, unlike New Who, hyper contrived.
It is.
Loads of things, and no, this is simple. This is just like they get taken off by the Time Lords.
That's right.
And they have to come
transported to
Nerva. I love
Skaro.
the fact they use the same place, but it's different
time rings.
Yeah, it's just a great season. It's a clear story. Best TARDIS crew. I think Harry, Doctor, and Sarah are fantastic.
They had good chemistry, didn't they?
Good chemistry.
Fantastic
and anyway,
chemistry.
So I think that's my favourite. Then second favourite season of all time is probably, I love season 18. It's very dark, bit of left field, but I do love that show.
Is that 1981?
Yes.
So that's when Peter Davison came in.
1981, yeah.
Right.
This might be parcels for me, in which case I'll have to stop, and I do apologise. This
right.
happens when you're at this door. It's weird.
Damn it. We could continue the interview after the parcels, actually, if you want. Would that be okay?
I'm just worried he's going to stop us.
Right.
I've seen him stop with intent.
We shall see what happens, sir.
My favourite Doctor is probably Pertwee. But
I love Pertwee as well.
I love Pertwee.
I'm torn between him and Tom Baker, actually.
Yeah, me too. I think they were both
charismatic,
absolutely made for the role in their own
yes
way.
Natural.
I don't think the new Doctor's not terrible.
Well, Tennant's pretty good, I think.
I think he's going to be better now, because I think they should be older. Doctor Who should be older.
I think there's been like diminishing returns of the actors who's played the Doctor, actually, in the new Who, regarding acting ability.
I just think the stories have been all the hell. I think it's been weird, and I think they've taken the character and just
guess it wasn't for you.
Was
it for him?
Give it time.
Right, should we ask the next question?
Yeah, just go for it.
What this is a related question. This isn't about Doctor Who, actually.
Yeah.
What is your favourite science fiction or fantasy movie and why?
Oh my goodness. Favourite science fiction fantasy movie and why?
Putting you on the spot here.
It's such a massive genre.
I know.
Um,
Sorry about this.
It's all right. You see, I've got I've got like sci-fi that I like, which is sort of. I mean, I love. Here's an off the world. I love the movie 2010.
Brilliant. Yep. Peter Hyams.
Yeah. Hang on.
Good
Are you
director.
for Osborne House? Sorry.
Should use Neil as your courier.
Sorry. No.
It wasn't for you then. Oh, that's good. Finish the questions now.
Sorry.
Could you explain why you like 2010 so much?
2010. I guess the age I saw 2010. The Cold War was on.
84, wasn't it?
84. Yeah, the Cold War was on, and I was 14, and it was thoughtful, and I'd seen 2001.
I'm going to say, do you prefer 2010 to 2001?
I actually prefer 2010 to 2001, which I know is a weird one.
That is controversial, mine.
I'll tell you what, I think he had an unenviable task of redoing
Yes.
that. But then it's very difficult discussion because then I like films like The Black Hole a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
I love. I'm trying to think. Gosh, you've really put me on the spot.
Sorry about this.
No, it's all right. Then you see, if you ask me, I like George Powell's The Time Machine.
That is brilliant.
Is wonderful.
Best time machine film
And then
ever made.
New films I quite like. Things like I like Annihilation. It's a very clever.
Quite
film.
eclectic then, isn't it? Your
Yeah,
taste then.
Predestination
Sci-fi.
with Ethan Hawke's a great little film. But in
Yeah.
terms of favourite, and I love John Carpenter films, although I love Escape from New York. I've got a complete.
My favourite John Carpenter's They Live.
I love They Live.
Yeah.
Escape
Escape from New York's good though.
It's good, yeah. It's very difficult. I'd say it's and I love like the Quatermass films as well. Like Quatermass.
Neil likes
I
Quatermass.
love Quatermass.
Yeah, big
So
fan.
it's actually virtually impossible to answer that. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Hey, you've
being
given
very-
some good answers there,
And I love
actually.
the 1968 Planet of the Apes, the original.
Oh, that is
And
brilliant.
no,
And
no,
you
my
got
favourite-
props
I know
from
my
there as
favourite
well.
Film is. I can tell you what my favourite bloody film
Oh.
is. Right. Okay. It depends what day of the week it is. But
Right.
no, I think the greatest science fiction film ever made. Right. I'll tell you. I'll describe it first. They have two design. You know, this van driver out here. He's like, excuse me while I hurl tea over you. Bless him. I don't mean.
Sounds like a plot from the beginning of a movie.
He's gonna bloody reverse him. With his.
I love the spontaneity of this interview.
Oh, you're gonna. Yeah. That's what you'll get with me. Anyway, no. Right. You've got two designers, right? So you've got one designer for the industrial side, the human side, and you've got a Swiss surrealist for the alien landscapes.
H.R. Geiger.
Yeah.
Oh,
And basically,
Alien.
Alien, I think.
Brilliant.
There's never been a film that has more accurately described a truly alien environment.
Ron Cobb did the industrial one,
Yeah,
didn't he?
Ron Cobb did all that, and then getting Geiger to do that. Now, when they did Prometheus, it blew my mind.
Not that keen on Prometheus.
No, not many people are. It blew my mind that they got one designer said, oh, we'll do. We're gonna take some of the bones out of the alien stuff.
Ah,
You know,
yes.
I was like, I thought, are you bloody stupid?
So it's like blasphemy
The
almost.
whole point of Alien is this totally. And then the other thing was they went back to that. Oh, we made the aliens. We made. I was like, oh, God's sake! Right, the whole point of Alien, why it's so good, was that it was set in deep space with something that plots in the
A
table.
used future as
Alien.
well.
Yeah,
Yep.
Alien.
Helvetica script.
And we're in two different alien races we meet. And it's
The engineers
so,
and
yeah. And to be honest,
Xenomorphs.
they should have left that mystery forevermore.
Prometheus totally spoiled that,
Yeah,
didn't it?
and I think, to be honest, it was this sort of like taking the mystery away.
Yes,
So two films
totally agree with
that
that.
should never have had, that are two great films that should never have had a sequel ever, no matter what. One was Alien.
Oh, the sequel was brilliant, mine.
It's all right.
Aliens.
It's alright, it's Dayton. You cross the two together. Anyway, it's a good sequel, it is a good sequel. But first of all, I still think the mystery of Alien by itself,
Yeah.
leave it alone. And the other one's Planet of the Apes. They should have finished on that final cut of Charlton Heston on the beach.
Oh, so
Just
you don't
leave
think
it.
they should have made Beneath the Planet of the Apes? And
It's
structured
all
well?
right. It's good. Yeah, it's not bad.
Right.
But I still think mystery and what ifs are good for the human soul. And I
Right.
think we seem to rush in, and the answers are never as satisfying as what you
Yeah.
imagine. You know what I mean? And I actually spoke to the grandson of John Campbell, who wrote The Thing.
Whoa.
And he said he spoke to his granddad who wrote Who Goes There, the book.
Yes.
And he's actually written the foreword in the magazine I've done for the museum. He actually said his granddad deliberately said, I never at any time in the book described The Thing, ever.
Really?
Because it's far worse what you're thinking than what
So the
I can
imagination's a lot more powerful than
see. 'Cause
anything
you're
we can put up
thinking
on
the
screen
worst,
then.
and I think the thing with Alien and the thing, see, Prometheus, the answers that come in Prometheus, to be honest, are just a bit disappointing.
Yes.
The engineers
Anticlimactic.
made us, we made them.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's like a biblical kind of allegory, isn't it?
is.
Really?
I'm not right. Now the other thing is I've learned to appreciate Prometheus. I like it as a film by itself, but not as a bolt on to Alien. I don't think it.
I think it's a separate universe, perhaps. Get away with that.
But I just think the Alien was such an amazing creation. And the other thing is why they never got Geiger back.
I know.
Is criminal, because that man is one of the 20th century's unique
I
visionaries.
think they had the iconic design to go off, and they just like refined the design, didn't they? Basically,
just too much, but they designed it to the point where it looks just designed.
It's over-engineered, as it were.
Anyway, and that's the answer. That's the super short.
That is a brilliant answer.
Alien. Yeah.
Final question.
Yeah.
Can you explain how?
I can't explain anything. I can't explain why I get up in the morning.
My writing as well as how you got involved with Netflix amazing interview series in the first place.
That was nothing to do with me whatsoever. It was pure fluke.
Right.
Somebody apparently was in the pub talking to somebody else apparently, who knew me apparently, and as a result of all
friend of a friend,
due to all that apparence,
yes,
I got a call. They just said, I know who it was. It was a prop dealer up here.
Right.
John Page, lovely guy, great support of the museum. He got the call from them. He knew, had contact with them, and they were just talking about a series where they were going to film people. Basically, the idea was people who were doing passion projects within their house. And obviously, I fit the bill because I was turning a Northumbrian cellar into a.
I think yours was one of the best on the whole series, actually.
Oh, it's
being a bit biased there.
There was people. I'll be honest with you. When I watched the series, there was people with huge. This is the funny thing.
Right.
I've never been a wealthy person. I've scraped myself up. I had to teach.
By your bootstraps.
Yeah, it was. And to be fair, it's amazing, and that's why I've built most of this. And I see other people doing museums and things, and often they've got a lot of money to chuck into these things. I think the big difference between me and a lot of the people on that program as well. Not all of them. There was one or two people who did it all themselves, but a lot of those various people who were getting just, contracts. So there was one guy who had a Tony Stark turntable put into his house. Well, I mean, that was just a question of you pay someone to come and put a Tony Stark.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And
you did it all yourself, so it's got more.
So yeah, it's basic. It's basic. But and there's a guy, the Milton Keynes chap in. He runs the museum in Milton Keynes. It's a great place.
Oh, that's another sci-fi museum. That's right.
Yeah, it's really good. But it's again, I think, I gather he's got a lot more financial backing than I have. I think
right.
Whereas I've had to really, I had to just over years I had to come and literally I angle ground out.
Well, you can see that the love that's gone into this actually.
And literally I do. Yeah. I restore the props. I restore the building. I make I make every plaque, every item's plaque.
I can tell you're very proud of it as well.
Yeah,
actually.
Well, it's a labor. It is a labor of love. It's not something.
Literally,
It's something I never thought would happen, and to have.
You've realised a lifelong dream, essentially.
Yeah, and you realise, and I think I've never, as I say, because I didn't have a lot, and I think because I've had to work a lot to get to this point, I think I do appreciate it massively.
Yes.
And I'm trying to give back because I'm very grateful to people and who support it, and to yourself for coming today.
And your fans appreciate it just as much as well.
Yeah,
so it's like a circle, gone full circle.
It's lovely, really. I mean, and to be honest, I wanted, when the Blackpool Exhibition Museum shut in 2009, I was
disappointed actually when it shut as well.
I was gutted.
Yes.
And I used to go down about my mum, the last trip I went down there was with my mum, who died shortly after. And it was just a lovely day. It was a couple of hours from here, it was great. And I just thought, right, there's nowhere now I can just think, this weekend I'm going to go and see some old friends, some old props and costumes.